Welcome to the Mind Body Weight Loss Summit. I'm John Gabriel, author and creator of the Gabriel Method, a diet-free approach to sustained weight loss. And I'm very pleased today to be joined by Dr. Wahls, who will be sharing her knowledge on the healing power of intensive nutrition and lifestyle changes. Dr. Wahls is a clinical professor of medicine at the University of Iowa, where she teaches internal medicine residents, sees patients in traumatic brain injury clinic, and conducts clinical trials. She's also a patient with secondary progressive multiple sclerosis, which confined her to a tilt reclining wheelchair for 4 years. Dr. Wahls restored her health using functional medicine and the Wahls protocol, and now rides her bike 5 miles to work each day. She's the author of the Wahls protocol, How I Beat Progressive MS Using Paleo Principles in Functional Medicine, and teaches the public and medical community about the healing power of intensive nutrition and how a paleo-style diet and therapeutic lifestyle changes can restore health and vitality. To learn more as you're listening today, you can visit Dr. Wahls' website at turrywahls.com. So Dr. Wahls, thanks so much for coming on the show today. I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit about your own health issues and how you came to understand that nutrition could be a solution for you.
Oh, absolutely. So I am a physician, but I also am a patient with a chronic progressive disease. In 2000, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I knew that within 10 years, half of people can't work due to severe fatigue. A third have problems walking, needing a cane, walker, or a wheelchair. I went to the best MS clinic I could find, which was the Cleveland Clinic, saw the best docs, took the newest, latest drugs. Still within 3 years, my disease had transitioned to secondary progressive MS. And in that phase, there's no more spontaneous remissions. I got the wheelchair, took the chemotherapy, and continued to steadily decline. By 2007, I couldn't sit up in a regular chair. I needed to be in a recliner or in bed. I could walk short distances using 2 walking sticks. And it was that time when I hit the wheelchair back in 2003, I started reading the science, studying, realizing that conventional medicine wasn't going to stop the slide into a bedridden and potentially demented life. Now, eventually, I discovered the use of some vitamins and supplements, which slowed my decline but did not lead to recovery. I discovered paleo diet, which did not lead to recovery. But then I discovered functional medicine, and I took a great course, neuroprotection, deepened my understanding of what were the micronutrients, the vitamins, minerals, fats, amino acids that brain cells needed, and redesigned my diet, still using paleo principles, but to get those 31 key nutrients. And when I did that, within 3 months, my fatigue was gone. In 6 months, I'm walking throughout the hospital. And in 12 months, I'm doing a 20-mile bike ride with my family.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, this transformed how I understood disease and health. And it transformed the kind of practice that I did. It transformed the kind of research that I do. And so now I study diet and lifestyle as an intervention for progressive multiple sclerosis. We have several studies underway, papers under review, and papers published. It's very exciting.
Are you working just with multiple sclerosis, or are you working with all types of degenerative and chronic diseases?
So the clinical trials are in multiple sclerosis and traumatic brain injury. My clinics are in traumatic brain injury, and I have a therapeutic lifestyle clinic where I take people with either mental health problems, neurological problems, or medical problems, often with many autoimmune problems. And they come to us. We treat them only with diet and lifestyle. We see their symptoms severity steadily decline. We're often able to wean away medication after medication.
It's really I'm sorry, it's just so unbelievable, really, what you're saying. So basically, you were in a situation, if I understand this correctly, where you were diagnosed by doctors in the medical system as that you would not be able to recover, that you were in a wheelchair. And
correct, 4 years.
Right, and then you went through a process of healing yourself through natural methods, through diet and lifestyle, and go on to do a 20-mile bike ride and now function totally normally. Is that correct?
Well, I'm probably not quite normal yet.
Yeah, okay.
I'm continuing to improve. I can jog 1.5 miles. I hope to be able to get further.
I can't jog 1.5 miles. But what you're saying, though, is that you're improving in a condition that most doctors would say does not get improved. Is that?
Is not absolutely. There's really only one case report of secondary progressive MS getting better, and that's the report describing me.
Yeah.
And what's important is I'm studying this in other patients with progressive MS.
Yeah.
And again, we're showing a remarkable improvement. And in my clinics, again, people with other autoimmune conditions like inflammatory bowel disease, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, skin conditions, they too have symptoms reduce, need fewer and fewer drugs, often getting to none at all, and no longer needing their biologic drugs that were costing $50,000 to $100,000 a year.
Unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. And I know we have found with autoimmune diseases that the doctor, our clients, their doctors would say, it's not curable, and they just give them drugs. But we don't. Obviously, we're not medical practitioners, so we don't treat these things. But we treat healthy lifestyle, and nutrition and healthy lifestyle is really what we prescribe. And we find a lot of people are able to cure a lot of their autoimmune issues much to the amazement of their doctor through this process.
We have hundreds, maybe thousands of scientific papers that have clearly identified the risk, 70 to 95% of the risk for getting high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, heart disease, dementia, mood disorders, autoimmune problems, and even cancer is due to just three things: quality of your diet, tobacco status, and physical activity level.
Yeah.
Now, if you throw in the rest of our lifestyle factors, you can probably account for 95 to 97%.
Yeah, I don't think
for nearly all diseases.
Right. I couldn't agree more. So let's talk some specifics here. You mentioned that you identified 31 key nutrients. What is it specifically when you started going into the research on brain chemistry and nutrition? What were some of the steps that you took initially?
Well, we'll go back to 2002. That's when I first got turned on to the paleo diet. So after 20 years of being a vegetarian, with a lot of prayer and thought, I went back to eating meat.
Yeah.
Because I read the science, it made sense, and but I still declined. I started reading the basic science, discovering that mitochondria were a big factor, and added B vitamins, CoQ, lipoic acid. And the speed of my decline slowed. And I was very grateful, but of course I'm still declining.
Yeah.
I discover functional medicine, take their neuroprotection course. Now I have a longer list of vitamins, which I'm taking. And then I have this awakening where I realize if I figure out where this list of 31 things I'm taking is in the food supply,
Yes.
then that is probably going to be more effective than the synthetic versions of these supplements that I'm taking.
I couldn't agree more.
And then you get the ratios correctly. You
Right.
get the natural form. You don't get the synthetic byproducts.
Right.
You get all of the co-related compounds.
Right.
And you probably get thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of other nutrients that science hasn't yet identified.
Exactly. You get it in a way that your body really understands. It can digest it. It can assimilate it. It's got all the things that we never even heard of that we're gonna hear about in the next couple of years. That this, to that. They're gonna make a pill for this. They're gonna make a pill for that. But at the end of the day, if you take it as just natural food, it's exactly what your body wants, and your body can absorb it.
And furthermore, our supplements are made more and more synthetically, more and more through genetically modified organisms, more and more in countries where quality control is not as consistent,
Yeah.
not as reliable. A lot of stuff is coming out of China and the developing world. And I'd much rather eat food than eat supplements whose quality is suspect.
Right. And even if the quality is good, we're not meant to take, this huge quantity of B vitamin all by itself without any of all the other cofactors that are involved.
Yes.
That your body needs to put it all together and to digest it in a proper form. So you started taking the nutrients as supplements, and then you started to identify the foods. Can we talk about some of the most important foods that you identified that have the nutrients that are really helping you and your clients?
So I was chasing things like vitamin K, vitamin C, vitamin A, E, a whole slew of antioxidants and essential fats. So I'm stressing green leafy vegetables for particularly the K and C.
Yeah.
Sulfur vegetables for all of the thiols that they have that are very important in detoxification processes and in making neurotransmitters. And then I go for things that are colored all the way through because color is a great marker for the polyphenols or antioxidants. And I try to keep things simple for my patients and our study subjects. So to be colored, it has to have pigment all the way through.
Yeah.
And apple, red on the outside, white on the inside.
That's really interesting.
Does it?
Like a red cabbage is going to be colored all the way through. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Whereas
Red
an apple, you
cabbage,
bite
carrots.
into it and it loses its color, which indicates
Right.
that it's losing a lot of the good stuff. Or a potato or something like that. You bite it, it's white on the inside, and it's losing a lot of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, and what you find, pears, bananas, apples, they do have some good nutrition, but they are so packed with fructose
Yeah.
and sugar and carbs that they are nowhere near as nutrient dense as a carrot, beet, green leaves, or onions.
So you put together this protocol called the Wahls protocol, which, by the
Yeah.
way, I just interviewed. I've interviewed a few people that have mentioned actually that they follow the
Yes.
Wahls protocol. So it's getting
pretty
out
cool.
there. Yeah, it's pretty cool, and it's getting out there. And these are other doctors and experts, and they say, well, I follow the Wahls protocol, and I'm wondering if you can tell us what the Wahls protocol is.
Okay, so if you're a guy or a very tall lady, I'm 6 foot tall, so that's 9 cups of vegetables, 3 cups of greens, 3 cups of sulfur-rich vegetables, cabbage family, onion family, mushroom family, 3 cups of deeply colored vegetables or berries. 6 to 12 ounces of meat if you're a meat eater. If you're not a meat eater, then we have different provisions for the vegetarians so they get enough protein. I really stress organ meat. I prefer that people have organ meat 2 to 3 times a week. Grass-fed meat, wild fish, wild game, ideally, if their budget will afford it, and seaweed, because most of us are iodine, selenium, and trace mineral deficient.
So when you say, let's be clear about the vegetables. So you're saying 9 cups, 3 cups, did you say, of green leafy? Is that what you said?
Green leafy, the deeper the green, the better.
Yeah.
3 cups of cabbage family, etc. Now, if you're female and you're quite petite, that might be 5 to 6 cups. There's no intent to have people gorge themselves and be uncomfortably full.
Can we talk about the green leafy for just a second? Because I'm working on a theory here. You know how you said that there's hundreds, maybe of thousands of different things that we don't even know, haven't even identified yet, but that we need in our body, and that's why having the food is better than having the supplement. When I look at green leafy vegetables, and there's nobody on the earth that doesn't agree that green leafy vegetables are good for you, and to more or less extent, depending on who you are. But I have this theory that in addition to all the other nutrients, what's really, really good about green leafy vegetables is that it captures sunlight. And that even though we don't measure sunlight, we actually
interesting theory.
We actually need that sunlight. And I look back, I've got all these plants back there, and I'm looking at them, and they're eating all day. That's what they're doing. They're eating.
Yes.
And so I have this thing that I've tried just the last couple of days, which I haven't shared with anyone, which I want to share with you and just get your take on it. So what I've been doing in the morning is I go out and I take these big leaves of spinach. They're really dark green. I go out and I hold them up to the sunlight. Because there's chlorophyll in that. The green is the chlorophyll that's capturing the sunlight. So I hold them up in the sunlight. I let them absorb the sunlight, and then just for a minute or two, and then I eat them, and I'll eat maybe a couple of cups, maybe 2 cups of them, just like that, real slowly. And then what I figure is that chlorophyll is then going to go right into my bloodstream because it's a small enough molecule that it's going to pass through the membrane of my intestines. It's going to go, and so now I've got chlorophyll, which captures sunlight, in my body, in my bloodstream. And then I take my shirt off while I'm out in the sun right here, and I just imagine and visualize the sun being sucked into my bloodstream and getting absorbed by that chlorophyll. This is something I've been doing just the last 2-3 days. And can I tell you, I have had this enormous energy. And I'm not I don't get tired in the afternoons. I'm not nearly as hungry. Most foods satisfy me in an instant. And I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts about that, because your talk about green leafy vegetables, it's possible that there's this whole other component that we're not even looking at.
Well, I'll tell you some other very interesting literature that I've recently become aware of. When we pick our food fresh out of the garden and eat it immediately,
Yeah,
peak amount of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants.
yeah,
You put it in the dark, as in a
yeah,
refrigerator, the nutrients and the
yeah,
antioxidants begin plummeting very quickly.
yeah,
So, absolutely, getting your food picked, immediately eating it,
yeah.
that is absolutely the most nutritious food you're going to have. As soon as we put it in the dark, the quality of the nutrition begins to plummet.
Yeah.
And most of us grab our food, put it in the refrigerator in the dark, where the nutrition will decline. And food that's transported is, of course, transported in the dark.
Right.
If you put the food back out in the light, the antioxidant content will increase.
That's
So
my,
you may,
that's what I'm saying.
you,
I think it's the light. I think there's something,
it's the
we don't
light.
measure light. We don't measure the energy, invisible energy of our body, like the way Eastern medicine does. We don't. And yet, in my opinion, it's so crucial, and we're just not even looking at it. And this, to me, is like a way of like energizing us with what we're really, really looking for. Because we eat a burger, right, or we eat a sandwich or something, and the light is so far away from that. So originally it was grass, which had captured sunlight. Then it became a cow, or then it became a grain. Then we processed it. Then we froze it. Then we cooked it. Then we microwaved it. Then we put it all together, and then it sat for a while. And it's not there anymore, and we're just always tired and dead, exhausted.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, have you heard of biophotons?
Yes, I have.
And there's a little more awareness that we generate biophotons, and there's particularly in our mitochondria that we're generating light.
And that's my point, is that if we can absorb the light, which is really what we're trying to do, we're going to be at optimal health. That's just sort of like a theory that I'm working on. But just getting back to your protocol, I have a question also about vegetarians, because that's a big issue for us. A lot of people are vegetarians, they want to be vegetarians, and I know from my own experience, because I gained a lot of weight as a vegetarian, if you do it the wrong way, it's a disaster, but if you do it the right way, it can be great. What recommendations do you make for vegetarians?
So, unlike many paleo authors, I'm not going to go out and demonize my vegetarian and vegan friends. One of my research assistants, whom I treasure, is a vegetarian for religious reasons.
Yeah.
And so, and there are many healing stories following the vegetarian or vegan diet. But there are also many more people who don't know how to do it properly, create B12 deficiency, are inadequate protein, too many carbs, not enough essential fats. But I'll also say there are also plenty of paleo eaters who are eating only conventionally grown meat and are making themselves very ill.
Yeah.
So if you don't do whatever kind of diet you're following thoughtfully, you can still get yourself into trouble.
So what protein recommendations will you make for a vegetarian?
So I want them to have a complete protein, legume, and grain. The grain should be gluten-free. But because of the phytates and the lectins, I want them to soak their grain for 24 hours, wash it. That will reduce the phytates, reduce the lectins, and reduce the probability of an autoimmune reaction.
It also reduce the starch if you sprout it,
Yes.
the legumes too. Because what I find, if I just eat normal legumes, they're too starchy for me, and I can feel that. But if I sprout them, I can have huge amounts of sprouted, any type of chickpeas, mung beans, whatever they are, on my salad, and I don't feel any kind of sugar, or insulin rush, or starch or anything, because the starch gets eaten up. So is that what you're saying? When you soak them, that's a perfect suggestion. Yeah.
Exactly true. You'll get more enzyme activity, more vitamin activity, and the food's going to be much more digestible.
Now, you mentioned lifestyle is important, and I'm wondering if we can talk about that, because when I first wrote my book back in '06, I had a lady call me and say that she had MS and that she was able to reverse it through visualization. Visualization is a big component of what we do. And maybe the visualization led her to healthier choices and things like that, but it also probably reduced stress and I don't know what else. But I'm wondering if you can talk about how stress and trauma and all of these things, how they affect and what we can do from a lifestyle perspective.
Well, lifestyle is going to encompass stress-reducing activities. Most of us in Western society have our stress hormones through the roof, and we never get back to relaxation phase.
Right.
When our stress levels are up, our body will reallocate resources in preparation to fight or flee,
Right.
which means we are not into the repair and maintenance of our bodies.
Right. So we're not able to repair whatever's going on, whatever degenerative diseases we're having, if it's an autoimmune thing, if it's a chronic inflammation, whatever it is, we're not able to repair it because we're in the stress state.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and in my clinical trials, when people are not doing well, we often uncover that they have unresolved stress issues and they've not been engaging in some type of daily stress-reducing activity.
Yeah.
So yes, very important. And people can follow the diet perfectly. They can be exercising, but if they still have unresolved stress, they'll often see themselves plateau and not be improving.
The reason why I'm asking is because it's so similar to weight issues. Everything that you're talking about relates to weight. So it seems to me that when the body experiences stress from the wrong foods and from mental and emotional stress and all these different things, it's going to react in different ways. One of them is through an autoimmune disease, but another one is through obesity. I think they're very much related, and I find that,
Yes.
that your protocol, as you're talking about, is a perfect protocol for losing weight. I don't know if you found that in your trials or your experience.
Yeah, in my clinics and in my trials, people are overweight, lose weight very rapidly.
Without trying much too.
Yeah, they come in and say, Dr. Wahls, the weight is falling off.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
I can't stuff another forkful of food into my mouth. And by the way, this is the best I've felt in decades.
It doesn't surprise me because basically your protocol is so similar to what we recommend, which is just mind-body health, really, reducing stress, increasing green leafy vegetables and healthy fats and proteins and less starches. What about toxins? Do you do much to help people detoxify? Do toxins play a role in all of this?
Toxins absolutely are a big part of most autoimmune conditions, and frankly, most obesity
Yes.
is driven probably by the hormone disruption and the toxins.
Yeah.
When I was designing my food plan to recover myself, I understood that I was likely very toxic. And so I was very intentional in how I chose the foods. The greens, the sulfur, and the color will all upregulate the phase 1, phase 2 enzymes involved in your liver and kidneys and sweat glands in detoxification.
Can we just talk about that one second? Because this is really, so
Yeah.
you're saying the greens, the color, and what was the other thing that you said?
And the sulfur.
And the sulfur.
thiols and the
So
sulfur.
how do we identify these things in our food? So greens, obviously, we can identify.
Green is easy.
The color, you're saying you want the color to be
is easy.
straight through. You want it to be color
Right.
all the way through, and then we're good. And then
And ideally, you want at least 3 color groups. Red, yellow, orange, purple, blue, black. You want to get something in those categories. And of course, you're having greens every day. So in essence, you're getting four colors a day.
Right.
Now, the thiols, I chose 3 big groups: cabbage family, onion family, mushroom family. Those 3 food groups have been medicinal foods across many cultures
That's
for
true.
thousands of generations.
Does that include garlic also? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So onion and garlic are in there, and they will upregulate both the phase 1, phase 2 parts of the processing of toxins.
You're saying because they're high in sulfur compounds, is that correct?
Well, correct.
Okay.
They're high in sulfur, and the greens and the color will upregulate both 1 and 2. And then in my book, I talk about spices, that many spices will have the same effect of upregulating our detox enzymes.
So,
And
yeah, okay. I'm just wondering if you could mention 1 or 2 of those spices.
curcumin, rosemary, ginger.
Yeah, I have a lot of ginger. I always have ginger in my juices. And turmeric. What about turmeric? Is that one of them?
Turmeric is excellent.
Yeah, I always have ginger and turmeric in my juices. That's a big one for me. My body, and that's one that's just because my body just craves it. Turmeric
Oh
especially.
yeah, and I love making. You can make turmeric bars. You can make turmeric bone broth. It's very lovely.
What's a turmeric bar? Is that like a snack bar made of turmeric?
Yeah, like a snack bar. You add like almond butter, coconut oil, ghee if you like, and a whole slew of turmeric. Stir it all up together, and then I freeze it in my ice cube trays in the freezer, and you pop them out. You could add some coconut in as well. It's a lovely bite of energy.
That sounds amazing. That sounds very interesting. I would put some chia seeds in that, actually.
Yeah, chia seeds would be fine.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, cool. So So Dr. Wahls, if people want to learn more about you, that you read your book and learn more about your protocol, what's the best way to reach you?
So if you can go to my website, Terry Wahls, Terry, Wahls, WAHLS.com, sign up for my newsletter. That way you can hear about the various online events that we do, in-person seminars. Pick up my book, The Wahls Protocol. It's a great resource for dealing with any autoimmune condition, obesity, mental health problem, brain disorder.
I have to agree with you. From what I know, obviously obesity is our area of expertise, but there's not a single thing you have said that doesn't 100% dovetail with what we're doing and what we recommend. So there's no question that your protocol lines up really well for obesity. I'm sure of that. So I very much appreciate your story is amazing. What you've done, sharing it with the world, and taking your time to share with our audience. I really appreciate that very much. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. My pleasure. So thanks everyone for watching. Dr. Wahls is an incredibly inspiring person who's put together really practical principles of mind-body healing that, as I said, very much dovetail with Gabriel Method principles, and that is nourishing the body, reducing toxins, reducing stress, improving lifestyle. All of these things help the body lose weight and achieve optimal health and well-being. So thanks again, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.